Why I am a pantheist, a path for God or nature. Becoming a pantheist has its own path in spirituality and enlightenment. Whatever path we choose directs us to understanding the universal reality. Philosophy plays an important role in contemplating that of existence. As a pantheist, I see God as the laws of nature, as did Spinoza back in the 17th century. The problem in the 17th century was Spinoza being misunderstood as an atheist and even in his death. Until the 18th century, John Toland, a philosopher and a freethinker, coined the word pantheism. The Greek words pan and theism mean all is God, where God is basically the universal nature. When one discovers pantheism along the path for themselves, then existence would start to make sense. The greatest influences that could lead a philosophical path of life is experiences, family member, friends, and historic philosophers. We may include scientific influences in our lives that walk hand in hand with philosophy. My path was introduced to influences, and those influences led me to deism, paganism, and I chose to be an outsider for a time, let mankind choose whether there was a God or not. Atheism was a philosophy that I had for 2 years. There's until after those 2 years, I became a pantheist due to more influences, such as Spinoza, for example, and Alan Watts. From pantheism, my knowledge expanded about the universe, God, nature, in history or in cultures. We must include the science as well. Learning from meditation has also led along my path, although meditation has evolved with me throughout the years. Atheism, agnosticism, or skepticism is something one may discover along their own path. It's from those the pathways in history that rationalism had its attempt to understand nature and the universe with a disbelief in religion. Agnosticism and atheism, or skepticism, is a part of the path for a non-believer in either God or religion. There are Pacific atheists, the disbelief in both God and religion, such as Richard Dawkins and the Lakers Virgins, restrict or firm to what they held in the freedom of thought. General atheism is looking for the truth as non-believers in disbelief of God or religion. One must study God as a non-believer, may take up a perennial philosophy to study different religions. My path was a part of finding what God was in life, such as my life's work. Ever since my senior year of high school, I had a philosophy class. That philosophy class focused on one book about a philosopher many of you might know as Aristotle. And the book about Aristotle was called Aristotle for Everyone, or Everybody. From there, it influenced the question of what God is, or where did God come from, and what is God made out of, and if he comes from something. Along my path that was longer in philosophy, it led to a theological understanding in pantheism. It wasn't in religion that I found God, it was in both history and reason, including my influences that built up through time. From pantheism, I discovered different pantheistic theories, such as panentheism, pantheism, and panpsychism. If the universe has consciousness, it can be studied in these pantheistic theories. That question is made up of those on a path of inquiry and empiricism. And Pantheism is a philosophy of all is in God, in relation to open-minded Christians, non-believers, and truth seekers might consider a force that is sentient with a universal mind to hear your thoughts and make them come into being with reality, yet who really knows? Although I'm not a pantheist, I sometimes wonder, between luck, coincidence, or chance, that could the universe hear anyone? I also discovered in different cultural religions, such as not just in paganism, but in philosophies of the Eastern world. Hinduism has philosophies from the Upanishads, the Vedic Indians of the ultimate reality, and the universal / world soul, such as the Brahmin and the Atman. In Buddhism, which has pantheistic tendencies that came out of Hinduism with Siddhartha, the historic Buddha. Buddhism has its own concept of deity, whether similar to the 14th Dalai Lama or the current Dalai Lama, has philosophies of the ultimate reality, or just believes in the ultimate reality. In other words, the universe. The Taoists believe in the way of nature, or energy they call Tao. Science, reason, and philosophy have a necessity to be hand in hand with each other. I've seen in philosophical arguments for the actual God existing, they fail because they are philosophy-based and not science. Science and philosophy carry both subjects of curiosity. When Spinoza developed his pantheism in the Ethics, he used both philosophy and geometry to prove God or nature. Spinoza made a balance of not just reason, but of science, philosophy, and religion, yet probably from a parallel perspective. Those are the reasons why I'm a pantheist to this day. I have lived my path to understand existence. The universe has its own path. Follow whether we are existing or we cease to be existing. The universe has its own path that has named many revered names throughout history, like God, the Tao, the ultimate reality, the cosmic consciousness, the Force, even from Star Wars. Wherever the laws of nature exists, where there is the universe, and there this existence is part of the natural path we're a part of in life. These are my thoughts. Watch with an open mind. Many of my influences were introduced to me by my dad, who is also a pantheistic thinker. these are the plentiful thoughts that many great thinkers, such as myself, a deep thinker as well, contain. Yeah, that's what all I have to say. Thank you, everyone.